Probably the area or the part of our industry, the automotive industry, that has the biggest gap in it is the automotive dealer part of it. It is such a joy for us to be able to bring to you a dealership with integrity, core fundamental values, and quality to our community. And it's an honor to have back on our show the operations manager, George Green, with Wild West Chevrolet. George, welcome back.
Hey, Mitch, how you doing?
Very good, thank you. This is such an extraordinary time for General Motors and Chevrolet and it's really intrigues me because some of the things that are happening in the community, the automotive community, you've been doing for years. So I'd like to start with that. It's the core values, the company philosophy that goes into Wild West Chevrolet.
Well, a lot of things come into it. We do most of our deals just by a handshake, Mitch, and that's not normal in our business or our industry. I really believe in training, so I want to have the best trained people that then turn around and they can be confident about the product that we're selling. But I'll tell you, Chevrolet's come to the table in building world-class products, and I'm just thrilled to death to be here, actually, to tell you about them.
Well, you mentioned the handshake philosophy, and we've had Wild West on our show several times. We've talked about how easy it is to get a price from Wild West Chevrolet on a car, and I'd like you to tell a little bit about that and the difference between that and the would you take process used at most other dealers in Northern Nevada.
Well, as you know, we don't use those additional dealer markup stickers. It just doesn't make sense to be offending your customer right out of the gate. So our goal is actually to give you a price within 60 seconds. Our salespeople have the books in front of them. They know the pricing they can do. So it really is a nice, clean, hassle-free way to do it. We'll tell you the incentives. Anybody that's eligible, we're going to pass those incentives on to you. So it makes it really easy, Mitch, when you don't have to go through all the drama to buy a car. So
well, and I think I talked to you about this. I think one of the very first things when I say to somebody that they can get this level of ease of transaction where they get an honest price without a hassle, without the 2 to 3 to 4 or an entire afternoon in an office with a guy running back and forth to the desk to get a price. You mentioned that your salespeople, and we have interviewed your salesperson, Patty, on our show.
Yeah.
And he's told us right on the show that he has the invoice book. He knows what the cost is, and he can give a price.
He has the authority to do so.
Doesn't have to go to a manager.
Right. Exactly.
So, let's describe that would you take process and what it's in place for at most other dealerships.
Well, you come in and they want to see you make an offer and, gee, what's my trade worth? And it can be quite extensive what they go through. Make sure you fill out a credit app and make sure we see if you're qualified. And, we just don't believe in that. We attempt to make it easier. And my philosophy has always been, I'm just going to give you the straight up deal. I feel that we're fair, we're honest, we have a lot of integrity. Heck, our taxes are lower down there.
So you're saying
dock fees are lower.
I can enjoy the process of buying a car for the first time in decades.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of crazy, Mitch, but we do it pretty easily.
And we've talked before on the show that, many years ago, I'll let you tell a little bit about this, because years ago, General Motors had a program, and it was an extraordinary event in General Motors history, was this employee pricing policy.
Yeah, employee pricing for everybody. And I remember it very well. And some of the dealers chose not to participate in it, but we did. And we've kind of taken that philosophy forward and have been doing this for quite a while, which is kind of interesting. This morning, Mitch, General Motors came out with what they call the total confidence pricing, which is preferred pricing, GM employee pricing for everybody on all 2012 Chevrolet products.
Well, and you just said, we've had you on the show before this was re-announced. So this is kind of an old program that General Motors brought back, but you've held on to it for the years in between where other dealers, some of them, you said, didn't even sign up for the original program.
That's correct.
So it's an optional program for the dealership. They're not forced to do this for the consumer.
And it does cost a dealership gross profit. But my philosophy has always been, if I can put somebody in the vehicle that they love and they're going to have great service, they're going to tell people about it. So I'm more interested in selling more vehicles and have more customers.
And more repeat loyal customers, because
Which we do have.
You do, and
We do.
And I've talked to many of them, and it's so enjoyable to hear people talk about a dealership, an automotive dealership that they actually enjoyed buying from. So, but you did this employee pricing for many years in between, and it's now back. And again, I want our consumers to know, just because they hear that this is back, that they could go into a dealership, possibly locally or even in another area, and the dealership is not necessarily signed up, but they may still put on this facade that they could be.
Correct. Yes.
So as you tell a salesman you want the preferred pricing, and he goes back and he comes back and he says, "Here's the price," and you are assuming that you are getting the one that General Motors had promised on their advertisements, and that's
Right.
not always true.
And part of what General Motors wants the dealers to do is to sign up and participate 100%. So it's not like this guy gets this price and this guy gets that price. It's the same price for everybody.
So if they don't mention it, they still have to get it if you're signed
Correct.
up for it.
That's correct.
And so one of the things that you said is that there was something that you were going to do for the Car Buyer Advisors regular listeners and people that find this interview on our social media, because we do produce a video and we post it on YouTube
Right.
showing your facilities and your inventory and people. And we share it on our Facebook. You share it on yours. That you're also going to, if they just mention the Car Buyer Advisor, you have a special program for those.
We do. Just mentioning the Car Buyer Advisor, the first year of service is on us. Or we'll give you up to $350 worth of credit towards some accessories to customize your vehicle.
So they just came in, they got the General Motors employee pricing,
Yes.
preferred pricing, and an additional $350 bonus or services for a year.
Yeah.
Just for saying that they heard you on the Car Buyer Advisor.
That's correct.
I really appreciate you doing that for our listeners, and it just gives us an opportunity to have our community rally behind quality businesses like yours. The one thing that I want to go over with you, if you don't mind, if you can, an example of how this works. If
Sure.
I call up and I say, "Here's a car or a truck that you have in stock. I looked on your website, and this is exactly what I'm looking for." How does it work from there?
Well, you'll see the correct pricing on the website, but what you won't see is how it's broken down. You'll just see a price. You'll see the original MSRP of a vehicle, and from there, like for example, right now I've got a half-ton four-wheel drive crew cab Silverado pickup truck. The start-out MSRP is over $40,900. There's an all-star discount package of $1,500, and then we have the preferred pricing, which is $37,199. There's a $3,000 cash rebate. There's another $1,000 trade-in. So if you have a 99 or newer and trade it in, you get an extra $1,000.
Is that a specific General Motors vehicle?
No.
Any 99 or newer vehicle?
Yes.
Any make?
We'll give you an extra $1,000 rebate. And so your confidence price, you can opt out and get an extra $500. So now you're down to under $32,700. So it's a savings of almost $8,300 off real MSRP.
And thank you for saying that, because you mentioned earlier these bump stickers, these inflated side stickers to the MSRP, which is the manufacturer's suggested retail price. It's a
Yes.
Monroney. It's a federal law that this big sticker is placed on a vehicle, and many dealers will try to addendum that or add an additional
Add an
area
additional
markup.
sticker, yeah.
And you said that you don't even like to insult them to begin with. I mean, this basically is the first thing that should tell a consumer, run for the hills. If they go onto a lot and there's, everything's marked up, it means that they're trying to start from a higher figure to hold you by the ankles and shake you upside down until every penny falls out of your wallet, because isn't that just an attempt to get the most they can out of you at the end?
Well, sure it is, Mitch, but at the end of the day, dealer's got to run his business the way he sees fit. I just see fit to do it a different way. I like to be on a solid footing with the customer, and I like to have confidence in what we are.
Well, and you just said to me a while back, and I think with this philosophy, you will actually achieve it. Your goal is to be the largest Chevrolet dealership in the entire country.
Absolutely.
And you've got land and space for it. And I said this to you the other day. I think that one of the things that maybe comes to people's minds immediately when they think Yarrington is that they have no concept of where it is in locationship to Reno. Even if they've lived in Reno, if they've never been there, they have this image that it's another state or a foreign country.
Well, I live in Reno, and I go there every day to work. It takes me a little over an hour to get to work, but I can tell you it's a short drive. You can save thousands.
Well, and get treated properly, and that's
treated
worth
right.
thousands. And George, you just shared something else with me too, that you have let's say somebody finds a truck on your website,
Yes.
and they get a price in 60 seconds, and they want to come out and pick it up, but they don't want to have two vehicles to schlep out there and back.
I'll come pick them up, Mitch.
You live in Reno, so you'll take them with you.
I can do that, or I can have one of our drivers go get them. Be happy to do stuff like that. We
So-
do it all the time, actually. So
An hour out there, an hour back, maybe 2 hours to buy your car, and a few minutes literally to get in and out of there with the paperwork process in your dealership. And they could save an all-day process of hassles at some of the local lots. George, it's always such a privilege to have you on our show. How do they get a hold of you out at Wild West Chevrolet?
we're at 1-800-524-4537. So that's a free call. Or 775-463-3456. And there is a choice, Mitch. It's Wild West Chevrolet.
And it's Wild West Chevrolet in Yerington. And again, George Green, Operations Manager, Wild West Chevrolet, thank you so much for
Thanks
being
for
here.
having me.